Today, I'm in Dubai, but I'm about to hop in this garish minivan and head to Abu Dhabi to test out Etihad Airways' first-class apartment on board their Airbus A380 en route to Singapore. Hello, YouTube travelers, and welcome to the Gentleman of Fortune channel. Join me on my travels around the world, and together we'll review the latest in-flight and lounge offerings, find out how various airlines' first and business class products stack up, and sample their catering and indulge in their finest champagnes. Together, we'll experience the best of the best, and maybe some more obscure ones as well. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss a thing. And now I invite you to sit back and relax as we get this next review underway. Etihad provides first-class passengers with chauffeur service to Abu Dhabi's Zayed International Airport with pickup from anywhere in the Emirates. But you may have detected by my snide comment earlier that I'm not too impressed by their choice of vehicles. To be honest, these little Mercedes vans are my personal pet peeve. To me, nothing screams luxury like clambering awkwardly into the back of a goods van. But I do appreciate the service, and realistically, I wouldn't have booked a ticket with Etihad if they didn't offer this pickup service. Unfortunately, unlike Emirates, they don't seem to provide chauffeur service at the outstations. Be forewarned, I'm sure I'll be making a lot of references to Emirates First Class in today's video. For one thing, I have more experience with that product than almost any other, and additionally, it's probably Etihad First's closest competitor. Traffic is fairly light this evening, so we should make it from downtown Dubai in just under an hour. Before long, we pass the last of Dubai's skyscrapers and strike out past Jebel Ali into the last remaining stretch of desert between here and the capital. I'm sure it won't be too long until the two cities have merged completely. Then, just like that, we arrive at Abu Dhabi's Sheikh Zayed International Airport VIP and first-class drop-off area. Porters stand at the ready for those with copious amounts of luggage, but I like to travel light and nimbly, so I'm able to zip through the automatic doors without a moment's hesitation. Directly in front of me is the business class check-in for Etihad, but I'll make a quick turn to the right and head to the first class check-in lounge. Past this gilded entrance, first class and the residence guests can check in at dedicated counters. An array of seating exists inside for traveling companions or in the event of a prolonged check-in process. I was offered a welcome drink during the check-in process, though that drink never materialized, and I didn't feel like waiting for it in lieu of heading to the lounge. I was quickly through the dedicated security screening line and into the terminal airside. I decided to forego any shopping to spend more time in the first-class lounge. You can see my video on Etihad First Class Lounge by clicking the card in the upper part of your screen. Tonight's Airbus A380 flight can be boarded directly from the business class lounge level. Going to the upper deck, there's an air bridge for guests in the residence, first class, and business class. Now it's time to get on board this Airbus A380. Now here's a first look at my first class suite, or apartment as they call it on Etihad, 4K. So here's the comfy looking seat featuring Poltrona Frau design, which they made a point of highlighting. It also includes a colorful lumbar pillow. From your flying throne, you look directly across to a large personal IFE screen, underneath which is a long leather top bench. This actually unfolds to transform into a full-length bed. You can also see the plush, fuzzy blanket that was waiting on the bed bench, and also waiting at the seat, a tray featuring a ramekin of dates, a refreshing towelette, and a glass for the impending champagne welcome drink. And right on cue, the flight attendant arrives to fill my flute. The pour on today's flight, Bilkart Salmon Vintage 2016. This is the same champagne they offered in the first class lounge. This bottle retails for around 79 euros or just over $90 US. Now don't get me wrong, this is an enjoyable splash of bubbly, but just as a point of comparison, this is about a third the price of the Dom Perignon that Emirates serves on board their first class. Alright, so now that we've gotten that most crucial of the first class rituals out of the way, let's have a look around our suite. Apartment, shall we? To the side of your seat, you can see the IFE controller, and below that, the headphone jack, and HDMI input, and two USB ports. Underneath that serving tray is a flap in the armrest that reveals controls for the seat to include the massage features. Under the opposite armrest, we have the tray table stored away. On the side console, there's a nice looking lamp to provide some mood lighting. And of course, you can see the literature pocket over here in the corner that contains the safety card, an air sickness bag, and an onboard shopping catalog. Now this is interesting. Over here on the bench, we have the amenity kit, which is fairly large in this distinctive greenish-gray kind of slate color. It's branded with both Etihad and GA for Giorgio Armani. We'll thoroughly inspect this in a moment, but for now, continuing our tour, there's another lighting fixture over here by the door, and below that, a storage pocket for the headphones case. There's also a few more drawers and storage compartments along the entranceway into the suite. There's a small one, and below that we have a simple mini bar featuring Voss water and soft drinks. Now, looking at this Sprite makes me wonder if there's any other Arabian Gulf old-timers out there who remember the time when all we used to be able to get was Team Lemon Lime Soda. There's also some storage for the bedding materials. And above that, a few more doors, including, most notably, this vanity mirror over here. I find it odd, though, that they missed the opportunity to display or present the amenities in the vanity. It seems like a lost opportunity. Then, out here by the suite door, there's one last storage compartment, which is your personal coat closet. Here's a quick peek at the beautiful latticework decoration on the suite's doors. So while I was investigating the apartment, I've been offered some gawa to enjoy with the dates. Unlike Emirates, they did not seem to have any variety on the choice of dates. Alright, so let's get this tray table out and have a look at a few more things. This thing is pretty beefy, and truthfully I had a couple of challenges getting it out and subsequently restoring it. There seemed to be some loose components inside that it would catch on and get hung up on. But with that being said, let's take a look at the menus to check out our first-class dining and drink options on this evening's flight. If you don't care to see the whole menu, you can jump ahead of the 8-minute, 8-second mark. I think I should be able to find something appetizing on here. Now, something that I always look forward to. Let's see what's in this Etihad Airways first class amenity kit. I already mentioned it's from Giorgio Armani, which is nice. I like that it's a little different in size and shape than most kits. Maybe I'll be able to take advantage of it to fill a niche in my toiletries kit collection. First thing we've got is this little baggie from Espa. Okay, we've got some slippers. Ooh, these are pretty cool. You can see that they've got a neat design and are branded Armani and Etihad, and they have a nice fuzzy sole. Next, we've got a pair of pajamas. These are also branded with the GA for Giorgio Armani. The top has a pretty nice pattern, making them stand out a bit from most airline pajamas. We've also got a dental kit in here. So not too much in the kit, but we do have that little Espa baggie to go through. Now, first up in here, we've got a little tube of nourishing lip cream. Then we've got this Positivity hand and body lotion. And next we've got this pair of earplugs in a little Etihad case. And then we've got this small bottle of Hydrating Spa face mist. Then we have this larger container of Espa Overnight Hydration Therapy. And lastly, an Etihad branded eye mask. Oh, I guess there's still more here. Next, we've got this promotional card for ESPA. And no kidding, finally this time, I think, we have one more small bottle of ESPA Restful Pulse Point Oil. Here's a closer look at the promotional card for ESPA. Now, I'm not particularly familiar with the ESPA brand. Presumably, it's pretty high-end, and the kit is quite nice, but it doesn't seem quite as impressive to me as Emirates, for example, which generally includes a bottle of perfume or cologne. Well, with the suite thoroughly examined, I think it's about time that we launch out into the evening sky and start heading towards Singapore. As we chug on up to altitude, let's take a look at the headphones that they give you in Etihad's first class. Now, these headphones have some decent padding on the ear cups and on the headband, but to be perfectly honest, they don't seem especially premium. I'd consider them to be a better fit in business class. Now, as I change into my pajamas to get comfortable for this evening's flight, let's take a look around the lavatory. It's pretty nice by airline standards. And here you can see they feature the ESPA toiletries. And as you can see, it's nice and spacious, so there's plenty of room to change or move around. But what you might notice is missing is the shower. So Etihad Airways does have 2 showers on board their Airbus A380. One of them is dedicated solely to the resident suite, and the other remaining shower is at the disposal of the other first-class passengers. But with so many first-class passengers, a single bathroom in the shower might not prove enough, so there's a separate individual bathroom, and that happens to be this one. And now we'll take a look at the lavatory that also includes the shower. In order to accommodate 3 separate washroom facilities in the melon of the Airbus A380, the space dedicated to this shower suite is a little bit smaller. But interestingly enough, I think you actually might have a little bit more space in the shower itself on Etihad versus Emirates. But you get the same 5 minutes of water to use in the shower. All right, let's get ready to head back to our seat because I think it's just about time to eat. While the cabin crew does the final preparations for the onboard service, here's a look at the complimentary Wi-Fi card which they give you for first class. And finally, let's get this Etihad first class party started. Some more champagne? Well, you know, as they say, a man's got to believe in something, and I believe I'll have another. The champagne is served with some mixed nuts, feta cheese, and Kalamata olives. And now that we're safely airborne, they're allowed to close the doors on the suite, so here's a look at it with the closed doors. And now it's time for another of my favorite parts of the first class experience, the caviar service. Here you can see all the various garnishes, a very large glass of vodka, the blinis, and the caviar tin. This caviar itself was very good, but I'm sad to report that the blinis were awful, probably the worst I've ever had. It tasted a lot like chewed up cardboard. Ultimately, I ended up eating the caviar, mixing it with the garnishes, and omitting the blinis altogether. With the caviar service done, I'm going to stretch out my legs and go for a walk to check out the lounge. This pretty closely mimics my routine on Emirates, so let's see how it stacks up. So this serves as the lounge on Etihad's Airbus A380. Apparently, there's supposed to be a table that plugs into the spot in the center, but unfortunately it was inoperative. They tried to gently dissuade me from sitting down, but eventually relented and brought me an espresso martini. Unfortunately, it was pretty dull with no other passengers and no bartender to keep me company, so I quickly returned to my seat. I guess I'll jump right into my main meal then, and begin with a glass of the Tuscan Red. And for my appetizer, I've gone with the Arabic Mezza. One thing that did impress me was this lemon sorbet as a palate cleanser in between courses. For my main course, I elected to go with the beef tenderloin with sweet potato fondant. Now, this was very well prepared and it was delicious. I didn't feel like the choice of dessert selections was that inspired, but I did decide upon spiced pineapple pudding because I thought it sounded interesting and I enjoyed it. With the dinner service now concluded and the tableware cleared out of the way, I decided to have the flight attendant prepare the bed for me. It's nice to have a proper bed in the sky, and this one contains a nice feature, a special latch that releases the spring-loaded IFE screen to deploy so that you can watch it from your bed. And of course, you'll need your headphones to do that, so there's an additional headphone jack over here next to the wall. Well, having a bed like this certainly makes your time on board fly by, and before I knew it, it was almost time for landing. As a departing gift, I was offered this nice little box of chocolates. I always love these little touches. And with that, the onboard service was wrapped up, and the flight attendant started preparing the cabin for landing. So, what are my thoughts on Etihad's flagship first-class product on board their Airbus A380? Certainly, this is a step up from business class. But how does it compare to other first-class products, and is it worth the price? I think Etihad's in a tough spot. There's no way for them to avoid being compared to their rival down the street. The proximity and commonalities are just too great, but frankly, they don't stack up to Emirates. From the lack of chauffeur service outside the UAE, the limited food options in the lounge, the price point of the champagne they serve, the onboard lounge, the headphone quality, and a number of other little things, it seems like it's death by 1,000 cuts. To me, it just feels like Etihad is trying to cut corners, and it undermines the sense of luxury which I feel they should be trying to present. This isn't to say that it's the worst first-class product in the world, but I feel like it has so much potential that it's disappointing how they fall short. I will say that the price was fair. It was low enough to allow siphoning off of customers from Dubai, but I wonder if they're striving to be a cut-rate version of Emirates or aspire to stand on their own merit. Well, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this video, found it informative, and didn't find my critiques to be too harsh. I do believe that expectation management is key, so hopefully, having seen this video, if you get to experience the product, you'll end up enjoying it more. And as for me, I hope that if I get to try this product again, in the future it exceeds my expectations. You know what else would exceed my expectations and make my day is if you'd subscribe, hit that like button, and hit the notification bell. I know those are a lot of asks, but you know it helps the algorithm and gets the video more exposure. Plus, we're closing in on 3,000 subscribers, so let's push the channel across the line. Hey, why not share this video with your friends? I really do appreciate it. And as I always say, until the next video, safe travels.